Are you in search for a good square foot garden planning tool? Then continue watching, because in this video I will tell you how I use Google Sketchup to plan my square foot garden and why, in my opinion, this is the best garden planner. When trying to plan my next year garden, because yes, I want to upgrade it and expand on it for the next season, I stumbled upon a feature that Google Sketchup uses that blew my mind. This feature is so powerful in planning my square foot garden that I must share it with you. I can say it's a game changer. I don't know why I didn't thought about this last year, but okay, we are where we are. To help you out finding yourself in the video, I'll put some timestamps in the comments so you can skip to the section you like to hear more about. And if you're a beginner gardener and want to improve your odds when growing your food in your garden, subscribe so you won't miss any gardening content from me. Oh, and if you're wondering what I'm doing in the next few minutes in my garden, it will be totally clear when I'll start to explain how to use this technique. So without further ado, let's jump into the main content. Most of you probably don't know Google Sketchup, and why would you? The program is designed for architects, interior designers and woodworkers. Why would a gardener need it? So in Google Sketchup there's a splendid feature called shadows. This feature allows you to generate accurate shadows for your 3D objects. But this by itself it's not useful. But combined with another feature, it's so powerful that if you haven't decided where you want your square foot garden, you simply must use it. The other feature of Google Sketchup is called location, and it's self-explanatory. This feature allows you to input the location of your garden, and because Google owns Google Earth, it will track the sun location on the sky and it will generate accurate shadows for your location and time. Isn't that mind-blowing? So many tutorials and tips on how to plan your garden say that you must have at least 8 hours of sun in your garden, right? But how can you tell that it's 8 hours of sun? By checking your garden every so often for a full year? The sun changes its location on the sky every month, and also the sunrise and sunset is in a different spot every day. And also there's a lot of objects that can interfere with the sun, like you see in my garden. There are some trees, a shed, a giant billboard and more. Fortunately, I discovered this option and now I don't need to worry about this anymore, because with this feature I can just simply scroll these two bars and set whatever time and date I want, and I'll see the shadows in my garden accurately, because the program knows my location relative to the sun and knows the objects that are interfering with the sun rays hitting my plants. So because a lot of you never use Google Sketchup, I will show you where to find it and how simple it is to use it as a garden layout planner. Because let's face it, do I need to have that much details in this shed model? No, I could easily just make a simple shape and it still will get almost the same results. So you'll see, it's really easy to use, and in the end I will show you how you can get better 3D models if you really want them to look nice, and go through my thinking process so you can understand what I'm doing and replicate it if you want. Please tell me in the comments what planning tool or app you're using, and if you want to have a video on square foot garden spacing, just comment spacing. For the sake of time, I won't explain you all the details about SketchUp. I will tell you only what's necessary, so if you need a tutorial, I will leave you a link in the description so you can learn the basics of the program, and I will also leave you a link where you can download the program. It's free, so no credit card needed this time. To download it, go to the link, sign in, then select that you will use it just for fun, because yeah, they don't know that gardeners also use it, and select your operating system. Now click submit, install the program and launch it. Remember that I told you that you'll understand what I'm doing in the video later on? So to make my square foot garden design, I was plotting all the measurements of my garden. That way I can use them now to draw, using the pencil tool, all the important locations in my garden. Where my shed is, where my raised beds are, where the billboard is, where the trees are, and so on. One tip here is to measure always from a known location and have at least 2 points of reference. Here you can see how to plot the location of the billboard. I measure the distance on the red axis and then on the green one. Both distances are from the same corner of the raised bed. To follow a specific axis, you can use the left and right arrows on your keyboard and just type in the measurement that you want to draw. It's that simple. So after all the measurements are drawn, you have a map where all the important structures are. but because a 2D structure doesn't have a shadow, you need to make it into a 3D shape. But first select all by double clicking and make it into a group. That way you won't interfere with it later on when creating a shape. They are not hard to make and you only need to use two tools, the rectangle tool and the push tool. Just draw a rectangle and pull it up to the desired height. You can stop here in creating your shapes, or you can continue to create more elaborate shapes like I did. Even with the simplest of shapes, the program will cast a shadow that is correct enough to be used for what we want. And remember, the more accurate you draw the models, the more accurate the shadows are. After we have all the shapes drawn, right-click on the toolbar and select Shadows and Locations, or go into the toolbar menu under the View tab, and there you can check the options Shadows and Location. Now you can see that some icons and two scroll bars appeared. To select your location, click on the map icon, then find your location on the map and press Import. The next thing to do to have a correct location is to rotate your garden so that it will line up with the surroundings, like you see me lining up the garden with the road. If you have nothing near your garden, try to import a bigger map or use a compass. The green axis always represents north. So now you have your location plotted, and to turn the shadows on, just click the far left icon and the program will automatically generate shadows for you. These are the basics in creating a garden layout using a vegetable garden planner. And now I will walk you throughout my thinking process when planning a small vegetable garden. As promised, I will give you a trick on how to get some more detailed models without much work. Let's say we want to plant a garden in a typical English house. Just go to the File tab and under it, click the 3D Warehouse and get models. Then search for the model you want, in our case a UK house, and click Download. When the model is downloaded, place it wherever you want and check for dimensions, and that's it. Now we have an English home on which I will demonstrate you my thoughts when using this square foot garden planner. But first, let's give it some nice backyard grass and a beautiful fence, shall we? By scrolling the scroll bars, you can modify which month or time of the day you want to see. The left scroll bar is for the time and the right one is for the months. With this you can see how many sun hours you'll have all year round. But have in mind that Google Sketchup doesn't take into consideration daylight saving times. So if you are in a country that uses that, just have this in mind when selecting your time. So what should you do next is to select the date when you want to start planting outside. Usually this is the date after your last frost date. But please don't follow my dates, because I'm plotting them just for demonstration. Then watch how the shadows goes. Here you can see that in the morning the shadows is mainly casted by the house and in the evening by the fence. So I mark the morning shadow of the house and scroll the time to a later hour that is at least 7 hours apart, because I wanted 7 hours of sun, and then I draw a line where the shadow ends. Now you know exactly which part of the backyard garden has at least 7 hours of sun in May. Now I repeated the same process for July, but this time I aimed for 8 hours, and then again in September for 7 hours. And with all the lines plotted, I can mark where the sun shines at least 7 hours throughout the growing season. So now I know where I can design the layout of my fictional small square foot garden. I hope you can see now why I think this is the best square foot garden planner. Imagine how many days and hours I would need to spend looking how the shadows act in my small garden. Instead, I just plot some dimensions in the program and I have what I need. What do you think? Is this a great tool or not? Leave me a comment down below. And if you liked the video, please leave it a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and if you don't, just let me know what method you use to plan your garden. And if you want to see where my planning brought me, click the video on the screen about my first vegetable harvest and a garden tour.